Here's the difference, though, between whipping cream and whipping egg whites. So ideally for egg whites, they're going to whip up faster if they're room temperature. For cream, however, you want to make sure it's as cold as possible and it's going to whip up faster. When I was a kid, my mom would actually stick the bowl and the beaters for electric beaters in the freezer to make them extra cold. And you can do that, but it's not crucial. It's not going to make that much of a time difference that you're going to say, oh, I got to do that every time. It does help. You know, it's not a game changer. It's really not. So we have our bowl. I'm going to grab a whisk. I'm going to grab my whipping cream, and we're going to talk about stabilizers. And I'm going to give you 4 options for stabilizers. This is where you need to take notes, because in the future, I want you to have that posted inside a cabinet door on a little piece of paper or whatever. So whenever you're whipping cream, oh yeah, what should I be adding in that? Because we've all been there, right? When you whip cream and you have some leftover bits, you put in a fridge and container, and you know, within a couple of days, it's all like liquid again. You might as well just add something to it at the time of whipping so it doesn't come to that stage. It's called a stabilizer. The one we've done before in the past, which I'll start the list with, but there's also 3 other ones I want to give to you just in case you don't have that ingredient. So the one I've recommended before is powdered skim milk, or just milk powder. Okay, you can buy in bags at the store, milk powder. If you were to add water to that, you could rehydrate this powdered granule to have milk. I wouldn't do that for milk unless I was in a pinch. But what we do use it for, and we always have a canister in the cupboard for, is stabilizing whipping cream. And I want you to add 1 to 3 teaspoons of skim milk powder to every single cup of liquid whipping cream. And that's going to be your stabilizer. What happens if you haven't got skim milk powder? What else can you use? The other option for your 1 cup, this is all going to be dealing towards a 1 cup of whipping cream, okay? The other thing you can add to your 1 cup of whipping cream is 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. That starch is going to act not as a thickener, because remember, cornstarch only activates once it's at a boiling point. So it's not going to act as a thickener, but it's going to act as a stabilizer. Stabilizer to help keep the whipping cream from losing its air volume. The third one is the one I'm going to use tonight. To 1 cup of whipping cream, you can add 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar, so icing sugar, along with 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar. So combined. Okay, what is cream of tartar? Everybody has it in their kitchen. They're like, they use it as a stabilizer. Maybe you put it in your egg whites to stabilize eggs for whipping cream, or for meringues or other recipes. But what the heck is it? It's tartaric acid, and it's the byproduct of making wine, of all things. Seriously, I'm not making this stuff up. And we have it as a stabilizer, but it's good to know your ingredients and what they are, right? There was one time when I was baking and a recipe called for molasses. This is years ago. I thought, what is molasses anyways? This is black sludge in this little milk carton. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to read the ingredient list, and it listed 1 ingredient on there. You know what it was? Molasses. Like, well, you don't need a brainiac to figure that out. What the heck is that? So I inquired online, and molasses is the sludge, the byproduct of making processed sugar. So when they're processing sugar to make white sugar, all this black sludge comes off, and that's molasses. So if you ever want to make brown sugar, and you only have white sugar and you have molasses, take your food processor, whiz the white sugar, and pour in the molasses a little at a time until it's the darkness of brown sugar that you want. You just created brown sugar. You're putting that sludge back in that processed white sugar. And the fourth one, this is a bit of a stretch, okay, but it does work. And I mean, chances are you're going to have one of those 3 to begin with. But in a case, in a pinch that you don't, you can use 3 tablespoons of pudding mix. So just don't use like chocolate or butterscotch. Use at least like maybe a vanilla pudding or something. If you have like powdered vanilla pudding, just add 3 tablespoons of that in there, and that will act as a stabilizer without adding too much. It's actually going to create pudding, and it's going to be good. Okay. But that's just as a last resort pinch, and you have nothing else on the list. I mean, everybody has icing sugar, right? And you should have cream of tartar, or you probably have cornstarch in your cupboard, right? So I'm using the powdered sugar with the cream of tartar, well, because I have these ingredients, but I need this a little bit sweet as well. So this is going to add me my sweetness and the stabilizer all at the same time. So I'm just going to eyeball a 1/4 cup, or sorry, a 1 full cup. Okay. And I'm going to add my powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons as my stabilizer, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, tartaric acid. What that's going to do by doing cream of tartar, you're going to have a little bit, just a tiny bit, because there's only a quarter teaspoon of a little bit of acidity in there. You're going to taste that when you taste that and think, well, you know what, just tastes more exciting. But hey, it's whatever, up to you. It's all good. And we're going to whip this by hand. Now, the first tip in whipping this by hand, other than having cold cream and getting a stabilizer in there, tilt your bowl so it's on an angle. So what you're doing, you're creating more of a depth in the volume of your liquid. If you just have it flat, it's less deep and there's more chance of air escaping. When it's more deep, there's more chance of air staying in your mix. And that's really what it's all about. You are whipping air into something to make it thicker, okay? I'm gonna take it and just whip until I have whipped cream. And I'll show you how fast this is, even without chilling the bowl, even without chilling my whisk, okay? Just cold cream with my stabilizer, and it will come together. You might think, oh, this is really difficult. I don't want to do it by hand. You know, my mixture's broken. I can't find it. You can just do it by hand. Honestly, it's not that difficult. Now, the one thing I don't like in whipped cream, and a lot of people like to add it actually, is that vanilla extract. Oh, to me, it ruins it. Here's why. When my mom was younger, bless her soul, she used to use the powdered Dream Whip pouches, right? You just add milk and you use the beaters and you mix it up. And that was our whipped cream. We didn't actually buy real whipped cream and do it from scratch. We had powdered mix. And that stuff is just so sickly filled of artificial vanilla. It just it turns my stomach whenever I have whipped cream with vanilla now. Even if it's pure vanilla extract, I just can't go there. I just don't like it. So it's just a thing for me, you know, back from my childhood. We have all those things from our childhood, something that we just hate from our childhood. We cannot stand it as an adult. And for me, that's one of them. So I never add it. The other thing as well, by using those Dream Whip pouches, that it's always so sickly sweet too. It's over the top sweet. And I don't like that. So I don't add a lot of sugar. That three tablespoons of powdered sugar is enough. It's not all pure sugar. If I was doing just regular white sugar, I would add 1 tablespoon only of regular white sugar as my sweetness. That's it. A whipped cream is supposed to be a nice, rich addition to your dessert. It's not supposed to be sickly sweet and overpower it. It's supposed to be just a rich addition to go on top of your dessert or your breakfast or whatever. I don't do overly sweet. I don't do vanilla of any kind, artificial or pure. We're almost there. Just a little bit more. And look at that. We have whipped cream. We're done. Yeah, see, that wasn't so difficult.